Hello?
Yeah, you're on. You're on. Great. Well, I have a few questions for you, but we're going to primarily have the audience be able to ask you questions.
Okay.
I'm going to start you off with the biggest softball possible, which is, all right, tell me about your experience of being here at Wayland College of Art and Design in Sarasota.
What a fantastic way to start. It's been pretty extraordinary. For those of you who attend this school, you're extremely fortunate and lucky. I'm kind of envious. It's an amazing college. I've never seen anything quite like it. The staff here are incredible. The students, they're all so nice and friendly and mature.
Wait a minute. Let's get carried away here.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever been to a college campus where everyone is so, I don't know, graceful and adult and respectful, and it's really remarkable. But also the facility is just extraordinary with the amount of technology that's here, and the level of, the quality of the work that the kids are able to explore is just incredible. And like I said, I wish I could attend the school myself.
Okay, you know, we might be able to have a special moment.
An honorary, I do actually have an ID.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does have an ID. For like a week before they're like, dude, it's fake, you can't keep coming here. Like sitting in on the drawing class. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Now, obviously, so many people know you, in the role as Frodo in the Lord of the Rings epic. And so tell us a little bit about how you got that role. I mean, how did it happen that you happened to, be the actor selected to do that?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting story.
Oh.
So they were, I heard about the Lord of the Rings being made into a feature film, and I think it was 1997, the summer of 97. I was working on a film in Austin, Texas, and this guy, Harry Knowles, I don't know if anyone knows Ain't It Cool News? He kind of pioneered this website as a film fan, and anyway, we were on set, and he told me that they were making Lord of the Rings and that Peter Jackson was going to make it. And I knew who Peter was. I'd seen a number of Peter's films and was a fan. And he said, you should play Frodo. Cut to many years later, when they actually get the financing for the film and they start the casting process, my agent called me and she said, they want you to go in and put yourself on tape for the role of Frodo. And so Peter was traveling around the world. As you can imagine, it was a massive effort to try and cast the films. So he was traveling from different parts of the world, meeting different actors along the way. And he wasn't going to be in LA anytime soon. So what I did is I had to go to the casting office to read the script because they weren't sending the script out to anyone. It was top secret. I'll never forget that day. I went to the casting office and I sat in a room, they shut the door, and I opened up the script. And I literally went to another world. I remember driving home and feeling like orcs and goblins were chasing me. I was so completely immersed. I'd never read anything like it. It was really remarkable. And I had this thing where my agent said, you'll have to go into the office and put yourself on tape. And I just didn't love that idea, the idea of going into a room, kind of a solitary, like, white background, and to play this character that I had so much passion for. I really wanted to do something special and unique to be able to showcase how passionate I was. So I decided to make my own tape. And I got a couple of art books with art from the Tolkien universe, with some artistic renderings of what hobbits look like. I had an idea, but I just wanted a reference. And I went to Western Costume in Los Angeles, which is a major kind of costume housing. They facilitate TV and movies. I went there and I got a costume that I felt was appropriate, like knee pants, the waistcoat, very hobbity. And myself and two friends shot the audition scenes. One of them we shot in my house. It was a scene where Gandalf sees Frodo for the first time. It was actually slightly retooled for the audition. It didn't end up in the movie like that. And then two scenes outside. One, I think, from the very end, like in Return of the King, and I think another scene in the early part of Return of the King. So quite intense, like broad spectrum of emotions. I did some dialect coaching beforehand, so I picked a dialect. If I watch this video now, the dialect is probably horrible. Like, you probably see the video now and go, how did he get the role? So I basically did the scenes, shot it from various angles. My friend helped me edit the scenes together that night at the Miramax offices in Los Angeles. I got the tape. It was a cassette tape, VHS. Not a DVD. And I took that to the casting office, and they sent it to Peter. They FedExed it to Peter. Peter saw it. I didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks. And then Peter came to Los Angeles and met with a number of the actors that he'd seen tapes of that he wanted to re-meet and meet in person. And according to Pete, he saw the tape and was convinced. I don't know how, but I guess he was. And then we met, and it was one of the most satisfying experiences I've had, I think, as an actor trying to get a role, because I put a lot of effort into it, and exactly what I wanted to achieve, I had achieved. I spoke to some of the people at the casting office, and they were kind of moved by what I'd done, and it was pretty powerful. And then getting to meet Peter and Fran. And then I guess I heard about a month or two later, I got a call. My agent called me and she said, stay by the phone, you're going to get a phone call. You know, okay, oh, good. And then I answered the phone, and it was Jan, Peter's assistant at the time, and she said, hold on the line for Peter Jackson. And I was weak at the knees. Peter got on the phone and he basically said, hey, would you like to come down to New Zealand and play Frodo? Yeah, awesome. It was a pretty fantastic day, to say the least.
That's great. Great story. All right, let's open it up for some questions in the audience. Yes.
If I read them in full, oh guys, all right, here we go. Here comes the admission. No, not all the way through.
Oh man, there we go. That's a deep dark secret.
I know it is a deep dark secret. I'll tell you why. It's a lame excuse, but let me just get through it. I grew up with Tolkien. I read The Hobbit when I was much younger. Loved The Hobbit. And owned a copy of The Lord of the Rings for years. One of these things that I always meant to read and I just never got around to reading it. When we went down to New Zealand, I brought a copy of the book with me, naturally, and started to read it. But what ended up happening is we were so invested in the world of Tolkien, from the script meetings that we were having to the rehearsals that we were having. It was kind of a totally immersive Tolkien world that we were living in. That it started to feel like, redundant's probably the wrong word, because that sounds negative, but it felt like I was already covering a lot of that material physically. So I kind of took a different journey with it and didn't read it while I was working. But the books were always around. I experienced it. And the books were always around. The book, it was like the Bible on set, honestly. We were constantly rewriting to get closer to the book. Actors would carry the book on set. There was always a book near the monitor for reference. So it was kind of a thing that we were constantly opening and looking at specific lines. There would be a line of dialogue in the script, and we'd re-reference it in the book and maybe shift it to be more like the book. So the book was constantly there. I just didn't fully read it, which kind of irks some Tolkien fans. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we all got a tattoo.
Sorry, what was the question?
She was asking if we all got tattoos.
You all got tattoos?
It's the 9-member, yeah. So it's basically the Elvish lettering for the number 9 for the 9 members of the Fellowship. It's special.
Yeah.
I actually had that idea really early in production, because we all kind of knew that we were a part of something really significant and totally unique, and we'd never have an experience like this again. And it just kind of popped into my head, and I thought, it'd be really interesting to get tattoos. If we're ever going to be as a group of people collectively experiencing something, this would be the time to do something like that. And a lot of people liked the idea, but some of them were like, voice of reason, why don't we wait until the end, just to make sure it's the experience we all hope it's going to be. Which was sound advice. And it all panned out great, and we all got tattoos. It would have been terrible if we got the number 9 and we're like, oh God, this experience was terrible.
I have a question about that, because there's so much